This is Stories from Palestine podcast. My name is Crystal. I studied history and teaching, and I am a licensed tour guide. I'm married to a Palestinian from Beit Safafa. We have 2 children, and I have no work now due to the situation. So please, if you enjoy this weekly podcast, click the Ko-fi link in the show notes and make a donation to support the show. And please share the podcast with your friends. A couple of years ago, I received 3 pieces of embroidery that used to be the chest pieces of Palestinian dresses. The Palestinian dress is called thob in Arabic. And the person who gave them to me said that she received them from an Israeli woman who had said these were from the people who used to live here. As she didn't know what to do with them, she handed them to me. And I also didn't know what was the best thing to do, so I asked a Palestinian friend who is a designer and very knowledgeable about Palestinian heritage what to do. She referred me then to the Palestinian Heritage Museum in Jerusalem, and I met there Bahaa Jubeh, the curator. In this first episode, you will learn more about the museum, as we are taking a tour of the ground floor of the museum that focuses on all kinds of heritage objects such as pottery and straw items and copper pots, metal objects, agricultural tools. The audio quality of this episode is not studio quality, as we recorded it in the rooms of the museum that produced quite a bit of echo. The second episode that I will upload is a tour of the upper floor of the museum, where we focus on the history of the traditional Palestinian thobs and the embroidery, the tatris. I just entered into the Museum of Palestinian Heritage at the American Colony Hotel.
No, not the American Colony Hotel. We are in the Dar Tafel Association.
Yes, near the American Colony Hotel. Exactly. No, that was my reference point. Yeah. And I am here with Bahaa Jubeh. Yes. You are a curator, and you are also a specialist in Palestinian tatris, the cross-stitch, the embroidery, and thobs. Yeah. And because of the pieces of embroidery that were given to me and that I had questions about, and through different friends, I came to you. And we would like to know everything about the museum in general, and especially about Palestinian embroidery in particular. So maybe you can give quick introduction on who you are, like how did you come to this, all this knowledge that you have, and then we dive into the content.
Okay, my name is Bahaa Jubeh. I'm from Jerusalem, and I studied history and archaeology and worked in cultural heritage since more than 25 years. And I worked in 1999 to establish the Birzeit University Museum. And I worked with a collection there. Then I worked more and more about cultural heritage and collections, museum collection management. And this is how I came to more especially working with the museums and objects and the cultural heritage, Palestinian cultural heritage, materials, different materials, and especially for tatris and thob, because people also always asking about tatris more than other objects and Palestinian cultural heritage. But I'm going to show you now a quick tour in the first floor in the Palestinian Heritage Museum at Dar Tafel Association in Jerusalem, talking about a little bit about the history of this collection that we are going to show you. Then we'll go to the first floor and we'll show you more detail about costume, Palestinian costume, because when we reopened this museum in 2012, I did something that unusual, because I didn't present any thobs in the ground floor. Why? Because of the stereotyping of the Palestinian heritage, because everybody, when we are talking about Palestinian heritage, want to see the dresses. I said, no, we have to tell people that there is different kinds of cultural heritage and different things. The thob is really very important, and this is more the obvious one, but our cultural heritage is not just thob and dabke and song. It's more deeply goes back thousands and thousands of years. This is why I presented other materials in the ground floor, then we'll start with the thobs and the crafts in the second floor. This is the decoration plan that we did, because people, if we put the dresses in the ground floor, I think most of people are not going to go up. This is why.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. For quickly, because we are going to talk more about the dresses, I know, but this room here, we're talking about the Palestinian Folk Museum, which is established in 1936. During the British Mandate Committee, they established, the idea was in 1923 until 1936, the committee worked and collected a big collection for Palestinian cultural heritage, because they want to do a Palestinian Folk Museum, and they call it Palestinian Folk Museum. And it was in the old city, but this map that we are presenting here, talking about the journey of the trail for the collection, because it was near the Holy Sepulchre. Then it went to the Way House, which is the Palestinian Archaeological Department in the British Mandate. It's near the Road 1, that we call it here, in the separation between East and West Jerusalem. Then they moved it into the citadel in the old city. Then they moved it to the Palestinian Archaeological Museum, which is Rockefeller today. Then they moved it actually to the Company of Electricity in Salah ad-Din Street, in the storage there. Then the committee donated to Dar al-Tafel here. And the materials that you are seeing here are the documents, the old documents, how they documented the collection. This is the photo, how they exhibited the Way House. They used to exhibit, and there is to be dates and times, opening times that people can see. So we did it a little bit the same way that because these are the jewelry.
These are tools they used as silversmiths to produce jewelry.
Yeah, and here models of headdresses. A lady from Sweden, and she used to work, and Louis Bildesberger. She was in Artas, and she did the models of headdresses of different types, and Sufis groups, and Christian, Muslim, Sheikh, guards, how they used to wear as headdresses. And we have 55, and the British Museum have 16 of these. I saw them in the British Museum. I told them, this is our collection. And then Hind Hosseini, who established the Association of Dar al-Tafel, she established the museum here in 1962 with small rooms and with her collection. Then in 1969, they donated all the collection of the Palestine Folk Museum. So she has a big collection. Then she started build and do Palestinian Folk Museum, a Palestinian Folk Center, they call it, and which is the Palestinian Heritage Museum. And they opened it in 1987, opened it in 1977, and then they closed it in 1987 during the first Intifada, and we reopened it in 2012. And the first director of the museum. And when we are talking here, because I will go, this is the next room, we are talking about Deir Yassin, the massacre of Deir Yassin, because it's related to the history of the establishing of Dar al-Tafel Association. Because Hind Hosseini, when she started the association here, actually, we have a film here. She's talking about how she collected the obfars of Deir Yassin in 1948, and she established the association with these obfars. She brought them to her house. They established the Dar al-Tafel Association, And you can read about it more in the website. And there is a publication, I'll give it to you, that you can see more. There is a lot of authors who came and she started here. Now it's become a big association in Jerusalem with a school, museum, research center, and the Dar Isaf library, and about 1,200 students.
But now it's a school, it's not an orphanage anymore.
There is some orphanage, they have some rooms that they sleep in them, but in the past, before the closure of Jerusalem, there used to be 350 orphans living here. But now they can't come, actually, because most of them used to come from Gaza, West Bank, and also from Haifa. But now it's not really the situation that they closed, and the people, they couldn't come, actually. And also the funding, all of these situations, yeah. I'll show you the third room. This is a room that we call it for Hind Husseini, the establisher of the association. This is a picture of her in her office in 1958.
It's an old typewriter and a phone that is actually still connected to a string.
We have the piano, and her mother used to teach Opfar's music. This is how we want to break the stereotype of the Palestinian women, that a woman like Hind Husseini established this association. She used to play music, she used to read and type and with her secretary. That means that Palestinian women are not just embroidering, they are also leading, and she established this association from 1948 until now. She passed away in 1994, but the association became bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is also to show people that Palestinian women is not just embroidering their wedding dress.
To honor and respect the Palestinian women. Oh, is this a picture of her in her later age?
Yes, in later age, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And these are gifts from the students and also from leaders from all over the world that they gave her. This is from Germany, I think, and these are other things. Yeah, to her, yes, yeah. So the first three rooms that we are talking about, the history of the collection and the history of the association and the founder of the association. Then now we're talking more about the cultural heritage materials, because we are talking most of these things that used to be from the Palestine Folk Museum, also from the Tifel Association collection. So these are the straw materials that we are talking about, the harvest tradition in Palestine, but also talking about different kind of materials for straw works and how elder women used to teach the girls how they start working with these handicrafts that mostly women are working in.
What do we call these?
Well, they call it tabakkash, which is straw, and some of them like call it saniya, dish, and these are like the coasters that you put the hot things of them. But also there is a different kind of kuta, and they'll put the wheat in there, and also some of them are just made for decoration for the...
And the material is?
The material is wheat from straw wheat that we call like that.
Oh yeah, so it's the, when you have the wheat, it's the stem of the...
Yeah, and what we hang here actually, this is an amulet that they used to put in front of their houses in the harvest season for God to bring good harvest season for them.
I got one from Nazareth. Yes. So we're looking at baskets that were made with the wheat stems, I would call it. I'm not a native English speaker either, so sometimes I'm looking for words. And they were made into baskets that could hold up, for example, I would say if you did olive harvest, you can hold up the olives.
So bread and some food, they take the food to the fields and then they eat on them. And
instead of our plastic bags. Yeah. Yeah, and some of them, they are big, round-shaped and flat, and you could use them as a tray to serve something, but some of them are so beautifully decorated with colors that they were more for decorational purposes on the walls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's move to the second room here. We separate the straw materials, then we have the pottery. Most objects that we have is a woman's handmade pottery that they used to make it, and we have these photos that show how they used to work and do their own jars. You can obviously see that these are like this one, because women used to do the jars for storing their things, and they know how big they need actually. So you have different kind of
different sizes.
And different kind, because some of them are for water, some of them are for oil, and some of them are for like these that more men are doing these because it's wheel pottery or pottery on wheel and manufacturing more. But these are also glazed from inside, because putting water in the jars, there is some of the water will go out actually, because the clay is also
it absorbs it. Yeah.
But if they want to store milk, butter, honey, or something like that, they don't want to lose anything, so they'll put it in the glazed pottery. And also these jars, it's like these when women used to bring water from the springs.
And they used to carry them on their heads.
Yeah. And here we have also, when I told you that we are talking about the different, if you go to the archaeological museums, you'll see like these three, which they call it wadaya, that when they wash themselves for pray or wash their hands. Actually, it's depend about that. Always we have a problem with water in this country. And they actually really very tired to bring the water to the house. They don't want to lose any drop of it. When they wash their hands, and they'll put the water here, then every house in the villages in Palestine, they have plants near the house. So they put it on for the plants, not so. It's like, we'll tell people actually, and mostly the students, this is recycling.
Exactly, this is how you recycle. We should keep doing that, yeah.
And here more agricultural materials and cooking materials. What we are talking about more here about you can see actually that one, which
fishing board.
Fishing board. It's really, we call it a fishing board, but it's in Arabic it's loh hadras. It's which is every village and in the harvest area they have the baydar, which is a semi-flat rock in the fields. They'll put all the wheats there, and they start crashing with this. With the horses and the animals, and the children used to stand on it. So it's like something play for them, but it's a little bit more things people remember, because they used to be children, then become their children, they do it. So it's really important, and it's an object that you can see with flint, stones, and metal. And if you go to the materials that from the Bronze Age in Palestine for harvest, you'll see the same materials and the same way that people are dealing with the harvest season. Yeah. So this tells us about how deep is the tradition.
Yeah. So it's a way to make sure that the chaff will be removed from the wheat.
The first step of filtering. Then the other one, the picture here, that they throw the wheat in the air, so the straw will go with the air and the wheat will be, this is the second.
It's called winnowing process,
yes.
According to the sign, winnowing. Okay, that's interesting.
And these are materials for cooking and heating, which goes, and that one is for more alcoholic.
It's an old distillation machine.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And this, I think, from Bet Jala or Bet.
I need to take, can I later on take pictures? Yeah, because I have a friend who makes traditional Palestinian arak in Bet Jala, and he's going to love to see this. Oh, distillery.
We call it kharraja in Arabic, but it's that they put cold water here, then they heat.
Yeah, so you can distill from for example, from the...
Also that it's more alcoholic, but also for pharmacy, for medicine, yeah. And this is a khabia, which is the store where people storing the wheats, and then there were the crashing with the...
Oh, so on the upper side it's wider and then it funnels down to a smaller end?
Actually, in the traditional houses, it's more huger than this. Actually, the traditional house in Palestine, in the villages more than in the cities, it used to be, there is Qa al-Bayt, which is where they store things, and the Mastabe, where they live, and it's separated with the Khawabi, and each ain, where they call it, each part, they have different kind of wheats, like hummus, wheats, adas, all of these things, and they'll take what they want to cook. And there is a wajaq, which is the living room is everything. They live in front of it, and the bedroom will be behind it. So
this is to crush.
This is a crush. This is tahune, we call it, the crush with the basalt stones. And there's different kind of crushes, but this is also to crush it, and they'll put it and start cooking.
Yeah. Fantastic.
This is the first floor that we are going to talk more about traditional handicrafts. It's more looming, carpets, and they call it mazawid in the south of Hebron. Until now, they do it in Samoa. But what we have is carpets from the 1938. I told you that most of these objects are more than 100-year-old because they collected in the 30s and they were old in the 30s. So we are about to be in the 30s. So it's more than 100-year-old.
Yeah. This is Bedouin?
This Bedouin, but these are Bedouins of North Palestine. The thing is that people think that the Bedouins are living just in south of Palestine. There is Bedouins near Tiberia, near Jaffa, near Tulkarem, near Nazareth. It was the community, and these are Bedouins that in that picture is more near Al-Hola and Tabariya, near Tabgha and that thing. Here in this room we are talking about the copper materials that used to be cooking, because we saw the pottery, then people became working with the coppers. Now we are talking about the stainless steel and other things. And these are very important. These are safartas, they call it. This is Tupperwares, actually. Used to the traditional Tupperware. But this is safartas. It's in Turkish, but Arabic. For safar is... Traveling, yeah. And these are decorated covers, and one of them are with inscription in Armenian. So you can see that these are, when they are gathering, they are gathering materials from different kind of the mosaic of Palestinian society. It's Christian, Jewish, Muslims, and Armenians, all of these people who used to live actually. And there is some objects that are in the storage from Bukhara, from Arab and Islamic regions.
Yeah, the Sufis who came here and set up their travel lodges. Yeah.
And now we'll start with dresses.
And that's the first part of 2 episodes recorded in the Palestinian Heritage Museum. In the next episode, you will hear everything about the Palestinian traditional thobs and tatrees. Thank you for listening. I hope you will tune in again next week. And don't forget the opportunity to support the podcast through the Ko-fi link in the show notes.